A word of warning, this podcast explores graphic and disturbing stories and includes some strong language. It therefore may not be suitable for our young listeners or other folks who may find it disturbing. Hello and welcome to True Crime News, the podcast covering high-profile and under-the-radar cases from across the country every week. I'm your host, Anna Garcia, and our case this week is about a newly blended family that takes their first big vacation together, 3 generations, on a Carnival cruise. The trip ended with one teen dead and her stepbrother, also a teen, accused of murdering her. In fact, the authorities say he took her body and shoved it under a bed. Distraught family members on both sides have begged prosecutors to lock him up before his trial. He is 16 years old. They are afraid for their safety and the safety of their other children and other people. We are recording this on Friday, June 26th of 2026. Our guest today is Dr. Leslie Dobson, a clinical and forensic psychologist and host of Intentionally Disturbing on YouTube. I love that title. Welcome, Dr. Leslie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be in your presence.
No, we're excited to have you. You're new to the program. You just want to tell people a little bit about what your expertise is?
Sure. I'm a forensic psychologist, and I have worked in criminal litigation for a long time. So when mental health intersects with the law, and I do a lot of civil litigation as an expert witness now. And predominantly I deal with sex crimes, murder, and trauma. So both sides, plaintiff and defense.
So pretty much this case is your level of expertise.
It really is. It might be a little young.
Yeah.
You know, we don't usually see this at this age. But something like this, I've definitely worked before.
Wow. Well, this murder happened on a Carnival cruise, and they were taking a cruise of the Caribbean, and the family is from Titusville, Florida. The victim here is 18-year-old Anna Kepner, and the accused is her stepbrother, 16-year-old Timothy Hudson. He is charged with first-degree murder and sexual assault, and he will be tried as an adult. When he was initially charged, he was charged as a juvenile. Now, that is what the new development is. Not only has he been charged as an adult, but he's finally been taken into custody, which has been a big argument here among family members. What I find interesting is that this family had been living together, this newly blended family for about a year. So by the time they took this big family cruise, I would think that, some of the difficulties of blending 2 families would have been worked out. But I'm curious about the sleeping arrangements here, because what you had was an 18-year-old girl, a young woman, a 16-year-old boy, not related to her, and then a half-brother of hers who was, a minor, all in this cabin. And I know that the family has been criticized online that they should have never put that configuration of male-female together in a small cabin.
There were a lot of red flags, but I think the question, and we'll find this out in trial, is if they were aware of the red flags. Because you wouldn't assume a rape and a murder would occur by putting your 3 teens together.
Right.
Right? That doesn't happen often. But we have now learned of a lot of red flags with the alleged rapist and killer.
My stomach turns as I read in the court documents about one of Anna's previous boyfriends who claimed and told police that she was very uncomfortable with her new stepbrother, Timothy, that she felt that he was staring at her and was obsessed with her. And there's even this incident that's, diagrammed very carefully in the court record, where you have the boyfriend at the time saying, oh, we used to be on FaceTime together and we'd like to go to sleep that way and fall asleep together on FaceTime. And that one time she fell asleep first. The signal was still, they were still connected, and he heard something. And then he claims he saw Timothy coming into her room and trying to climb into her bed. And he scared Timothy when he saw that. That to me is really troubling.
It's very troubling. And she according to the records, did not inform her parents of this, but she did tell her friends. And then the boyfriend had witnessed that. So we have prior incidences, and it's easy to anticipate that this behavior would escalate, especially when we hear other stories of him being creepy, is what I read. And the friends were talking about how he was very isolated at school. He kept to himself. And then we have this 4-year custody battle with the father, Timothy's father, saying there is some mental health problem that is not being properly cared for by the mother. These are the allegations. So we have all of these red flags, but they're not quite moving forward enough to prevent a Carnival Cruise group room with a bunch of teenagers.
Right. It is very frightening. And I think what we will find if this goes to trial is who knew what when, because there's no evidence yet that the parents knew. And I don't believe that if they knew that something like this could possibly happen, that they would have made those arrangements intentionally. But for the sake of keeping the peace in this new blended family, is it entirely possible that everyone just had to suck it up and get along for the greater good, which I would think is very hard in a blended family with this many children? Let's get into some of the background here of the family. So Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, married Timothy's mother, Chantel Hudson. A lot of people, because there are a lot of people involved, and I know it can be confusing. And, so you have the parent of the victim married to the parent of the accused killer. That in itself, that is really tricky. Like, how in the world, especially for a new marriage, how do you deal with that?
I mean, it seems psychologically that they aligned themselves with each other, the couple, and just said, we're not going to stand there with the son. Yet we still have them fighting for custody and backing him, and they're still a part of the defense. And we're hearing now that there was medication involved that wasn't given to him 2 days prior. So you can kind of see the setup of the mother saying, well, maybe there was something wrong with him, and maybe that's why it happened. Yet it was the father's daughter that was killed. It's so twisted. I don't think their relationship will last, if you asked me that.
Okay.
After this.
Well, this is a stressor, right? I mean, I cannot imagine anything more serious than the murder of a child by one of the other children in the family.
And the shock of it. And then being stuck on the boat with a dead body for 2 days.
Oh my God. That is scary for anyone on the cruise. And then you kind of narrow that down to the family. I mean, for the family to have to process this, but not be able to really do anything because you have to secure this room. And then you're trying to ask the other kids who were in that room with her. Yeah, that must have been a hell of a 2 days, because the FBI made it clear to the ship's captain that they would be boarding when they arrived in Miami. And as long as they were at sea, it's not like they were going to, like in the movies, helicopter in a team, a forensic team. That just wasn't going to happen.
Right. So
and they're right across from each other. Both cabins, the parents' cabin and where Anna was murdered, are across from each other.
Right. So we have the trauma of the first night, where now a 13-year-old knows he slept next to the bed where his sister was dead underneath. And he knows he slept next to an alleged murderer and an alleged rapist. And then we have the trauma of 2 more nights, or I think it was 2 more nights, of sleeping across the hall from the dead daughter.
Right. Because they left the body in the room, because the medical examiner would be boarding in Miami and they were told to leave everything as is. So now you also have decomposition. Oh my goodness. And one of the things I've done in the past as an investigative reporter, one of the niches of my interest has been crimes at sea, because so many crimes happen on cruise ships, especially the kind of sexual assaults that happen on cruise ships, and or people disappear and supposedly either jump or are pushed, right? And the body is never recovered. These cases are so hard to investigate. They are even harder to prosecute because of jurisdictional issues as to where exactly the crime happened. So I was like, wow, that is why this is a federal case.
Right. It is so complicated.
Oh my goodness. Really complicated. Okay. So let's get back to the couple here. So they married in December of 2024, and Christopher brought Anna and 3 siblings into this new union. Chantel brought her 3 children, an adult son, as well as Timothy and a 9-year-old daughter, all from these previous relationships, which, I was going to use the term the Brady Bunch, but I realize, so many people are not even going to know what that reference is.
I don't think a lot of people know what Saved by the Bell is anymore. And that is so sad for me.
I know, it's really sad. Like I have limits now on how I can communicate things to people since my references are being reduced. So on November 2nd of 2025, the family departs Miami for this week-long cruise through the Caribbean. Now, the guests include Christopher and Chantel, mom and dad, Christopher's parents, so that would be Anna Kepner's grandparents, her 2 younger siblings, along with 2 of Chantel's children. So many children. Okay. And everybody's like mixed in. And the rooming situation was this. So we had Anna in a cabin with her 13-year-old half brother, and then 16-year-old stepbrother, Timothy, the one who's charged here, and the one who some have called very creepy. Okay. Now, the parents were in a cabin directly across the hall, which is great. And the other thing that is really helpful in this case is I was actually quite pleased to see how many surveillance cameras there were on this ship recording pretty much everybody's movements. So if you're a privacy person, a cruise is not for you because everything about your movements will be kept on record. It's extraordinary.
Legally and illegally, because we just had the case of the Disney cruise with hidden cameras in all of the cabins and trafficking. So you are being watched.
You are.
In good and bad ways.
Yeah. Yes. So always keep that in mind. But in the case of a crime, all those cameras were particularly helpful. Okay. So Anna, Anna was hesitant to tell her dad about how she felt about Timothy. And what we don't know is if there was any pushback when the rooming arrangements were announced to the kids. Okay, Anna, you're going to be here with Timothy. Like, what I'm wondering is, did she say anything? I shared with you before we started recording that I've interviewed several teenagers who were being victimized and yet did not tell their parents about what was going on, which I found fascinating because you would think when you're scared, the first thing you do is you run to your parents. But they shared with me that there were things going on in the family, either financial stressors or like literal, physical stressors where all the other stressors are causing mom and dad to have panic attacks. And so these young victims felt like they could never fully turn to their parents because they themselves didn't want to add to their stress.
It's so sad. And it's so true. And I encourage them to speak up to any safe adult, even if it's not the parent. Tell someone else. Tell a teacher. Tell a therapist. Let them tell the parent. But I think when we see these red flags and we don't trust our intuition, we gaslight ourselves and bad things happen.
Bad things do happen. And bad things can happen even on a cruise. So on the evening of November 6th of 2025, the ship had just left Mexico, headed back to Miami. This was the end of the cruise, and they would be at sea for at least 2 more days. That night, the Kepner family, or the new blended family, they had dinner together, and Anna asked to leave because she said that her braces were hurting her. She wasn't feeling well, and she does have a mouthful of braces. Now, according to Anna's grandmother, Barbara Kepner, she saw her granddaughter a little later that night in the casino, and her daughter was dressed up. So I'm sure enjoying being on a cruise. She's 18 years old. I mean, come on, there's life out there. So Anna allegedly told Grandma, who she called Mima. That is one of my favorite nicknames for a grandma, Mima. I just love that. She said, Mima, I love you guys. I'll see you later. And that encounter was the last time that Grandma saw Anna. She would be seen on security cameras, but that's the last time that a family member would see her. So the next morning, housekeeping goes into the room, and that's when they find Anna's body wrapped in a blanket, shoved underneath a bed. And then it's so weird. It's described as, the life vests that you have to have in the room were kind of lined up, blocking your view of what was under the bed.
Right.
And, you basically have the accused killer who's 16 years old. And then you've got this 13-year-old that's, also is on vacation, probably not paying attention, just goes to bed kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as you said, they slept with a dead body in that room.
Right. And we're getting insights, right? We're getting insights that the alleged killer wanted to cover this up because he was aware of the consequences. But he didn't do it in a very good way. So he's not maybe really good at this. Maybe he hasn't done it before, but he certainly is aware and cognizant of the consequences when they find the body, because that same night, the 13-year-old wanted to go to bed, but Timothy blocked him from entering the room.
Right. Said, I'm changing, which probably really is code for I'm moving a body around and I'm covering up, the murder that police say I committed.
And redressing her.
Oh my goodness. It's just so disturbing. So when the body was found, the Carnival cruise ship calls the FBI. And as I said, they wouldn't be helicoptering in. They would be meeting the ship on November 8th. 2 days at sea. Dead body. There's a lot going on here. The only thing that everyone could be certain of, based on the fact that Anna was killed after they left port, is whoever killed Anna was still on that ship. Mm-hmm. That was the one definitive. But to think it was as close as your stepbrother in the same room, I know. Okay, so to help with the investigation, and this I find so fascinating, the cruise ship has a lot of security cameras, and they're in the hallways. They're just about everywhere. And that has been incredibly helpful in this case. So here's the timeline that prosecutors have put together. And this is what's in the court record. So prosecutors believe that Timothy sexually assaulted and murdered Anna between 7:51 p.m. and 10:13 p.m. on November 6th. So there's a window there, not a huge window. Now, according to investigators, the CCTV cameras captured the movement in and out of the room. So the cameras are good enough to know who's going in, who's going out, and at what time, which is very important because we see Anna go in, but we never see Anna leave. So that also limits who had access to the room. And it's not like any of them could go ahead and change anything on the security cameras. Okay, so it's 7:35. Security cameras captured Timothy entering the cabin. 2 minutes later, Anna enters the cabin. This is the last time that security cameras captured her alive, meaning she could have still been alive. And there will be a little testimony of that when her 13-year-old half-brother comes in. But it's the last time that she's seen alive on cameras. So it's 7:51, about 20 minutes later. Anna's younger half-brother walking the hallways near the cabin. He's with two friends, and he enters the room briefly. And the 13-year-old told authorities Anna seemed fine. Okay, so that's where we come up with, we know that she was alive at 7:51. That's the last time we know she was alive. By 10:13, Timothy opens the cabin door. And this one, now I found this interesting. They describe how he opens the door, looks both ways, and then continues on his route. Now, authorities are using that as showing a presence of guilt. Now, I'll have to tell you, and maybe it's just me because I'm a crime reporter, but when I exit buildings or I exit hallways, I constantly do that because I'm always looking for someone coming at me or if you only look one way, you don't know what's happening on the other side. But I understand in the context of this.
But I think that's the perfect example. You have vigilance because you're aware of crime. He had vigilance because he's alleged of doing a crime.
Yes. So authorities say that he enters the cabin 2 more times at 10:23 and 10:49. And then Timothy exits the cabin at 10:53 after placing a privacy sign on the front door. Now, he returned at 11:07, and a few minutes later, Anna's younger half-brother returns at about 11:21. And that's when, the 13-year-old's visit lasted only 2 minutes, and he told authorities he didn't see Anna's body. Well, I shouldn't say body. He didn't see Anna at the time. So the 13-year-old has no idea where Anna is, but she wasn't in the room. But of course, authorities say, oh, she was in the room. She was dead at this point, and she had been, stowed away. So when the youngest sibling finally returns shortly after midnight, and it's time, to go in, he is blocked. Timothy blocks the door and says, you can't come in, I'm changing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he sits out there, and you see this on the surveillance cameras. After that, court documents do not mention anyone on CCTV exiting that room again until Timothy exits the next morning. Mm-hmm. So the attendant enters the room at 11:24, and that's when Anna is discovered dead. Here is what I think is the freakiest and most damning of the security cameras. So at this point, the police from the ship, right? The safety officers, and they're wearing body cams. And the Kepners and everyone, they're in this room because Anna's just been found dead. And the cameras capture Timothy walking past. He doesn't look in, he doesn't stop, and he doesn't ask anyone what's going on. It's his room.
Right.
Circumstantial, to me, that's huge.
Significant. I mean, it makes me think of 2 things. Psychopathy, return to the scene of the crime for more stimulation, more knowledge, but also callousness, disregard for empathy. Did not care, just wanted to make sure, just wanted to make sure of what was going on.
And prosecutors told the judge as they were trying to get him detained that the reason he didn't look and the reason he didn't ask questions is because he knew.
And by then he had already thrown her phone out.
Which, as I analyzed how they figured out where the phone was, and I again, love the security features here. What I found interesting is, why did he throw the phone away? Because ultimately, authorities so far have said in the court record that they didn't find anything on her phone or his phone that would indicate any problems. So why did he throw the phone away?
I mean, I think what we're seeing is, someone who's not very good at a crime. So we're seeing something probably more driven by emotion and maybe rage and retaliation, vengeance.
Yeah.
So not great thinking, right? We're getting some insight into his cognitive ability as well. If you're going to chuck a phone in the trash, why aren't you chucking it in the water?
You're at sea. No one's ever going to find this phone.
Right.
If you believe there's something on there that is damning or upsetting to you.
Right.
And I'm going to guess maybe there was something on there that maybe was upsetting to him, because as far as evidence goes, they're able to figure out a lot even without the phone. Okay, so let's talk about how they found the phone, because I just, again, if you're into investigations, this one is so interesting. Her phone was not found in her cabin. Turns out it was located in the lost and found because it had been found by a security officer in a trash bin on the opposite side of the ship. Mm-hmm. Why is all of this important? Okay. Anna's phone was connected to the ship's Wi-Fi internet plan. And the way the ship operates is there are routers all over the ship. And so they keep the data on your phone your movements. So they're able to literally track your phone. Think of like regular GPS, but you're really limited to a ship. So instead of GPS, what you're getting is the data from all the routers. Okay, why is this significant? It's incredibly significant because Timothy did not have a phone plan for the ship. They didn't pay for his Wi-Fi. So there's no tracking his phone. But if you take the data of Anna's phone as it's moving through the ship and you marry it to the cameras, you can line them up together at the same time. And that tells you a digital forensic story and provides you with evidence. I just thought that was incredible. They were able to track Timothy's movements, right, because of the phone, and they got all the way to the trash bin. The camera in the vicinity of the trash bin doesn't cover the trash bin. So we don't see Timothy allegedly tossing in the phone, but the data and his visuals in the area have him there. And that's where they found the phone. That to me is...
It's fascinating.
Right?
And it really gives me the insight that maybe he got up at 9 o'clock, went out, thought if he got rid of the phone, no one would ever know who she was. They'd get off the boat and we'd never know where Anna went.
Where's Anna?
There's such a lack of sophistication in this alleged, in the murder, but in the alleged Timothy. I'm thinking it's emotional, it's young, it's juvenile, but it's also calculated and careful when he can be. It feels very guilty to me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the medical examiner boards the ship and does a preliminary exam, and Anna's body was found fully clothed, sweatpants, sweatshirt, and her underwear on. But the medical examiner said that the underwear had kind of been put on in a twisted manner and also shoved into her body, parts of it, indicating a sexual assault. Mm-hmm. So from your experience, did he undress her and dress her?
Yes. I mean, she was found with pants fully on.
Right.
Right? So he had to put that back. So we don't know if it doesn't sound like the underwear was ever fully off and that there was actually more violence to the rape.
Yes.
But then he goes and puts the pants back on because of the way that she died, because of the mechanical asphyxiation. We're not looking at pinning someone down and raping them. Now we're looking at violently ending their life and raping them.
Yes. This was very violent.
Yeah. In haste as well.
Yes. Yes. It's so disturbing because the mechanical asphyxiation is described as possibly being a chokehold, mm-hmm. which is kind of what you described had perhaps been experienced within this family unit based on family court records.
Right. In the 2024 incident of the older son of Chantel wanting to get out of the car because he didn't want to move with the family once they had just been married. And they had to hold him down. He was going to jump out of a moving car. They put him in a chokehold. So now we have Timothy, who seems like a gullible, susceptible child, just witnessed how you hold someone down.
Right. Right. The medical examiner also said that there was significant bruising to her neck and there were broken blood vessels in the eyes and the face. And the autopsy confirmed that Anna was sexually assaulted before her death. DNA was taken for a rape kit. Also, samples from fingernails were taken, and Timothy's semen was identified.
Mm-hmm. It's horrifying.
That is very strong evidence.
Yes. Yes. And it wasn't mutual because of all the evidence we have leading up to her saying she wanted away from this guy.
Because you're thinking that maybe the defense will try and claim that this was somehow consensual, which we really haven't gotten into the details yet because the case hasn't really been tried. It's talked about because there are all these hearings having to deal with the charges and will he be detained and then moving forward. So that's how we're getting some of this information. But I didn't even know what the defense is going to be in all of this.
I think they're starting to paint this picture, right? We're getting more and more information from the father's custody battle, begging for custody of the son, still begging for custody. This mental illness that is present, which we have only heard of ADHD and insomnia. Which
do not a killer make.
No. And if you don't take your ADHD medicine and you miss your sleep medicine, which really, it's not sleep medicine. He was on blood pressure medicine, off-label use, calms you down, you sleep a little better. And he didn't take it because he fell asleep on his own. So let's just squash all that. It wasn't like he was on Ambien and hallucinated this. None of this paints the picture of someone who would violently rape and kill someone. Right? The picture I see is this longevity, is the 1 year of him obsessing over her, creeping around her, following her around the house, this isolated boy at school. You have no one talking who really knew him, right? The father saying there's an untreated mental illness. And then Anna sleeps with another teenager consensually on the cruise ship. And then we have the moment, this is my interpretation, of Timothy saying, if I can't have her, no one can.
That could have enraged him.
And so there's your defense argument. Maybe an emotional crisis. Maybe not guilty by reason of insanity, but we do have the covering of the crime.
And maybe what was on the phone, which would have no bearing on the actual relationship that they had and any problems they would have had, could have been any communications she may have had with the boy that authorities say, the young man that she hooked up with consensually. Yeah. And he was ruled out entirely. So that could have been what made him angry.
Yeah.
Anything that would have been between those two, because, they were texting. How else,
And that's why I think the words of the judge are so important.
Oh, yes.
Where he said, you're a psychopath and you're going to be locked up because you might snap. What does that mean? Does he think? Yeah, he knows more than we do. Does he think he snapped? Is this argument going to be all around a snap?
It did take the judge a long time to get there, though. And to be completely fair here, because if that is so, what changed in the month or two prior to that when prosecutors were asking to have him taken off the streets and the parents from this blended family were supporting that?
Yeah.
Because at first, when first charged and then even when charged as an adult, there were 2 hearings and the judge denied detaining the young man, citing a federal law that has guidelines for how to deal with juveniles. And those guidelines try not to have the young person locked up.
Right.
And he didn't have a prior criminal history. So as I was reading all of this last night, these 150 pages in one of the court records, I was like, Judge, err on the side of caution. And he's like, well, we also have to be cautious about this young man. It was just interesting to hear out loud the thinking and how he went from protecting his rights as well to the point where he finally said he's got to be in custody.
Which is so frustrating for me.
Yes.
Lock him up until keep everyone safe and then figure it out.
Yes.
Apologize later if you're wrong. Who cares? The kid's safe in prison or in jail. He's fine.
And it's not like he isn't charged with an incredibly serious crime. We're not talking about stealing a car here.
Right.
So that is, unless for some reason, which I would ask you, I would think would be incredibly misguided, this feeling that this was a very personal crime and wouldn't be committed against anyone else because it was specifically directed at one person. I don't see how you can guarantee that with this young man.
No, the only thing I could see is he was living in the house with the uncle, and the girls in the house were 10 and 12.
I really was concerned about that. I really was. And especially, no matter what the dynamics are of this, of the parents in the blended family, because there are, so many parents involved because there are so many kids here. Mm-hmm. But when they came out and they said, we're not comfortable, and that's his mother saying that, I'm not comfortable with him being out there. It's like usually parents are protecting their kids from everything, no matter what heinous thing they've done. Not saying that that's right, but this one goes in the opposite direction of what we usually see.
Right. I think we've seen them all processing their emotions related to this as more evidence and data has come forward and stories are changing. People are aligning themselves with other people. Different step grandmothers are talking. Aunts are coming out and talking. And it's changing the way that everybody's perceiving this and moving forward with this and who they're siding with. Mm-hmm. But I am on one side. Justice.
Yes, I agree with you. Justice, absolutely. So Anna's grandparents told ABC News that Timothy told them that he didn't remember anything. Do you believe that's true, that he blocked it out?
Bullshit.
Okay.
I mean, if we want to talk about real dissociation from trauma,
yeah,
it doesn't look like that. Right? This is litigation induced malingering. This is not true. He was present. He was alert. He was aware. It was a couple minutes. He was in the bedroom. A couple minutes later, she comes in. He's seen blocking the brother. He's checking the hallway. He's moving the phone. He's placing the life vests. That is not dissociation. And the span of that is also way too long to be in a dissociative state, especially when there's no notable history of dissociation as well. And missing your blood pressure medication for 2 nights is not going to lead to dissociation either. The only thing I can possibly see that would is absolutely intense vengeance and rage because he wanted her and she slept with somebody else.
The grandmother also told the news station that I guess she popped her head in for part of the FBI questioning him because they're interviewing everyone. It's not like he was detained. Everyone was allowed to get off the ship that day. And she said that he was hysterical, that he was crying so much he couldn't even put words together to make a sentence.
Right. And they put him on a hold for 72 hours, on a psych hold. It's called a bunch of different things in Florida, but they let him out, right? They didn't think he was a harm to himself or others. So I think you have a 16-year-old who is responsible for his actions and was probably genuinely shocked and by the fact that he did it.
And that hysteria, if you will, while he's being questioned is a manifestation of that?
Well, shit, I got caught. Now what's going to happen? No one ever pays attention to me. I've kind of flew under the radar. Oh my gosh, right? So I think we're seeing, again, the cognitive capacity of this boy. It's probably quite low.
Yes, boy. Timothy was considered an initial suspect for all the reasons that we've outlined, but he wasn't charged until February 2nd of this year of 2026. And he was charged as a juvenile in federal court. And as we explained, the Juvenile Detention Act has these guidelines which worked in his favor to stay out of any kind of custody. Now, while that is being argued in the courts and prosecutors are fighting to get him into custody, apparently neither parent from the blended family, because again, the father of the victim and the mother of the accused, they did not want him in their home. He was a pariah. So she, the mom, sends Timothy to live with her brother, the boy's uncle, on the, far away on the other side of Florida, which is crazy when you think of the uncle had his own kids, and apparently the uncle lived near Timothy's biological father. This is so confusing, Leslie.
Children.
Right? Who also had children, and he had 20% custody and she had 80% custody, and somehow she was allowed as the primary parent to make this decision to send her son away. Everything going on with this case is happening in federal court, and it's also happening in family court. There's so much going on here. And I could see the frustration as I was reading the transcript from federal court about what to do with him. And the judge being like, well, hold on a second. So he's not living with his parents. He's with another. It's like this. He's just been discarded within the family. Right. Within the family. It's just so bizarre. Okay. So People Magazine got a statement from mother, right, and father of victim. All right. And this is saying that they believe that he should be in custody. Quote, "At this time, it is deeply painful and disturbing to our family that the person responsible is able to walk freely. This reality adds to our grief and outrage. It is devastating to know that while we live every day with the loss of our child, the individual responsible has not yet been fully held accountable." What do you think of that?
I take it with a grain of salt, because in these cases, it's going to change, right? It's a nice statement. It's a nice PR move.
Well, they're basically saying, we want him locked up.
We want him locked up. We are also not responsible. We are not taking any accountability. We are surprised by this.
We didn't do it.
So they're distancing themselves, which tells me there is something that connects them.
I don't know how you go to bed at night and, your daughter has allegedly been killed by your new wife's son. I mean, I do not want to be at that dinner table.
Yeah. And that disbelief is probably because it's chaos in the house, right? Like, that statement is not an accurate representation of what's really happening. So again, we've got the lawyers have come in. We have people guiding everyone on what to say, and the strategies have begun. And so you really just take it with a grain of salt and wait for the next statement, the next evidence. The trial is going to tell us everything. I wish it would be publicized, but because it's federal, we won't be able to watch.
That's correct. Cameras are not allowed in a federal courthouse if it goes to trial. I don't know. And here's one concern. Obviously, justice for Anna is primary here. But as far as a fairness and application of the law, who is actually advocating for the rights of Timothy? And many of you all are like screaming now saying he shouldn't have any. You view him as having done something evil and monstrous. And if this proves to be true, that is correct. But who's standing by his side, since he is a minor, even though he's being treated as an adult?
I think the biological father
is the only one
who came forward and even made a stronger statement saying he wanted custody, because now, look, the mom is so unfit to be a parent that it's led to his son being an alleged rapist and murderer.
And the reason I ask about who's going to advocate for him as a parental figure is because he's going to be faced with a lot of decisions, and he is going to need someone to guide him beyond just the attorney. So who's going to be the sounding board? Who's going to help him make a decision about what is in his best interest as far as, should he take a plea deal? What should that plea deal be? That's what I'm concerned about with all this, like, hands off from parental figures. That how will he navigate this?
I think initially a psychologist. I think, he'll go through the competency evaluation. If he can't be found competent, if he doesn't understand a plea deal, he doesn't understand what a jury is, a judge, he'll be put into a state hospital. He'll be put into a long-standing facility, and they're going to teach him. They're going to teach him what it means, and they're going to do mock trials, and they're going to get him to a point where he can go to a real trial and put forward a plea. Because right now, I don't think there's a plea, or he's denying all of it.
Yeah, he has. The plea has been entered of not guilty on his behalf, and we don't know anything about a deal here. I'm just wondering how if as you believe, cognitively, he's not at age appropriate.
Right.
That maybe he won't be able to navigate these waters and make those decisions. I don't know. I mean, I know all of you are screaming, who cares? But
that's what we have to care.
I think so.
Because our taxpayer dollars are paying to hold him, right? So if he is found not competent, and if he's never competent, for example, in California, then he just gets out. He'll just get out. And that is wild to me. But this is Florida.
Right. This is Florida. It's federal court, but it's Florida. I think it's highly unlikely that we see that scenario. Very, very unlikely. So prosecutors then make the move to charge him as an adult with the hopes that now he can be detained. And I'm not saying that's the only reason. I mean, I do agree he should be charged as an adult. 16 is old enough. He's old enough to know right from wrong, and I think he should be charged as an adult. So anyway, they convene a federal grand jury, because remember, this is federal court, and now Timothy is indicted on first-degree murder, aggravated sexual assault. But he's still free. In fact, he was free until just a little while ago.
A month ago, yeah.
June 15th.
Yeah.
June 15th, he finally surrenders to marshals. Okay, and as part of the ruling, remember I said, the judge took a while to get to this place. Judge Edwin Torres noted that about what prosecutors were seeking here and said, quote, this case for a forcible rape is beyond clear and convincing, and also noted that Timothy's alleged actions suggest a level of psychopathy and lack of remorse that by itself raises a serious concern that Timothy can snap at any time, despite the well-meaning and serious efforts of his caretakers, not even his parents, to make sure that doesn't happen again. So what is psychopathy?
Well, we have a test for psychopathy, and we have a test for juvenile psychopathy. So if we're looking at it from a juvenile lens, it's a little less of an expectation, but we're looking for two main facets: interpersonal and affective relations, and we're looking at antisocial traits. And this is where I don't know a lot about this guy, right? I don't know a lot about his high school life, but we are looking at glibness. Okay, check. We got that. Grandiosity. He sure felt entitled to her. Pathological lying. He tried to get away with it. Manipulation, shallow affect, callousness, failure to accept responsibility. Okay, so we've got that one side, that interpersonal affective side. Now the antisocial side, need for stimulation. I would say doing that is a need for stimulation. Parasitic lifestyle. We don't really know, but he's sucking her dry in the household and she's very uncomfortable. Poor behavioral control. Okay, have we seen rageful moments? Well, he climbed into her bed when she was asleep. Okay, but that's also criminal versatility. We have murder and rape. I don't know if there was juvenile delinquency. We can count the current juvenile delinquency. And then what we need to know are early behavioral problems. Was there conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder? What was he like as a kid? Was he killing animals?
Right.
Was he wetting the bed? Was he starting fires? Right. So we've already got enough data to say he would score very high as a psychopath. And he may have other diagnoses as well. We can have a lot all at once. Isn't that fun? Yeah, I always say it's like a good person can do bad things, right? And a bad person can do good things, which is what is so complex about human beings. Yes.
Right? And in this one, I mean, it's just so evil, and it's so violent, and it's so destructive to so many people in this extended family.
And it's going to take a long time to figure it out. It's so complicated. And so many juries innocent people are being brought in, having to see these pictures and hear these stories. And the victims, the family, the little kids are all being re-traumatized. It is just such a complicated, multifaceted trauma. So, just don't rape people. Just don't kill people.
Well, it doesn't work. If only it would be as simple as that, right? But that is why I find crime so fascinating, because it's not just issues of, if someone has, like I say, like a defect with a serial killer, because something entirely a different kind of killer there. But these crimes of passion or opportunity, or it's about money, or your secret's about to become revealed and you'll do anything to stop that. It's about how you react to these things. And also there's a lot of logic to it. And in this one, I do believe that there's something violently ill in this young man.
Yeah.
Do you think if they had not been rooming together, do you think that this might have still happened?
100%.
Okay.
Just maybe elsewhere, back at the house.
Mm.
I think there's a lack of parental supervision. Both parents work a lot and are busy. I think he would have done it again. He would have been opportunistic and figured out a way to fulfill his obsession with Anna.
I just think that there was a unique opportunity here to be sleeping in the same room.
Yeah.
That there might not have been anywhere else. It was a unique opportunity for him. So Timothy is currently in the custody of the Citrus County Jail, and he's expecting to undergo mental evaluation. Mm-hmm. And then he will be transferred to a juvenile facility in Miami-Dade West Metro, a detention center there by July 10th. He will be moved. So, they don't want him housed with adult criminals because that could be incredibly dangerous for him. So it makes sense for him to be in a juvenile detention center, which I'm sure is also, can be a rough and scary place, but there are consequences to actions, as I always say. Mm-hmm. Timothy's trial has been set for September, which is really soon, mm-hmm. and he faces a maximum of life in prison. Last month, Anna's high school, Temple Christian, held a graduation, and her father, Christopher, accepted Anna's diploma. On her behalf, he went on stage, issued the diploma.
It gives me chills. It's so incredibly sad.
Yeah, it really is. So we will be following this case to see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, it is time for our comments section. These are the crime cases that you all are talking about on social media. But today, for those of you who are watching, not those of you listening, you're probably saying, where the heck is everyone today? Where are you? And we are in our special True Crime News studio at Warner Brothers headquarters in Burbank. So this is the time when we ask Will, our producer, to talk about what people, the comments section. And we actually had to have a discussion since we haven't really done it in this setup. And we're all out of sorts. It's like, where are we going to put Will? So Will is on the other side of the glass.
I'm in my regular spot. I'm in the booth over here. And I apologize. Because of the lighting thing, Leslie can't really see my face.
I can
but
see
Anna
you
can.
through the window.
Okay, you can see me through the window. Great.
Really little.
So yeah, it's a different setup, but we're making it work. We're happy to be in studio.
It's just so funny because I'm just like, I have to look this way to see you on the other side. Like, honestly, for a crime show, it's like, you're a prisoner and I'm coming to talk to you and question you in custody.
Yeah. We're going for, like a sort of we were going for more of an interrogation feel, but through the glass, the prison visit works as well. It works as well.
I'm going to put up a hand to touch you.
I feel safer this way. No one can get to me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. All right, Will. So what's going on?
All right. So this week we have a case of things getting sticky for a slippery political wannabe. This case comes out of Queens, New York.
Queens, New York? That's where I grew up.
I'm aware. That's why I picked the story.
Oh, exciting. We never know, Leslie. We never know what Will's going to talk about.
Okay.
He always keeps it a secret.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I always keep it a secret. In Queens here, a political hopeful who's been dubbed by media outlets the Sperminator has been arrested for fraudulently using AI to create fake campaign endorsements. Now, the defendant here, 47-year-old Jonathan Rinaldi, is kind of like a perennial political candidate. Have you heard of him before, Anna? He's like,
I haven't.
Okay, so he does all these antics. He runs for various like city council seats. He's just very much trying to get involved in the political scene there, very unsuccessfully.
Oh my God. Does every city have one of these? I remember in Atlantic City, when you want to think about nutty and corrupt, right? I used to be a reporter in Atlantic City, and there were these twin brothers. And they ran for everything, and you never knew which was which.
I feel like there's got to be some sort of strategy if you're twins there where you could somehow effectively double your votes, but I don't know.
But I just always remember it was just like so annoying because you knew that they were not serious, but because they were candidates, you'd have to interview them as part of like the candidates' field, and you're just like, this is an exercise in stupidity. So I guess every city has people like that.
Yeah, so it does seem like every city kind of has one of these types of characters. He's been doing this for years, and I want to note too, this is apolitical. He runs across the political spectrum. Some of his parties include the Mad as Hell Party,
yes,
the Medical Freedom Party, and the Parent Party. All very interesting. Now, this odd name, which I'm not going to say a second time, I'll just say the Pollinator from now on. It stems from he received this moniker after a report that he had been selling his genetic material like on the black market and sort of advertising it as this superior unvaccinated DNA. And according to Humans of New York,
and this has value, like someone wants this, like someone wants his sperm.
Apparently, according to a Humans of New York investigation, he fostered more than 12 children over a 2-year period, rather. Sorry. So there could be even more out there. And this is kind of important because, before his political aspirations, he was a contractor, and he had like a brief sort of reality TV stint on DIY Network's $1 Million Contractor.
I like that show.
You like that show?
Yeah.
You probably know this guy.
Yeah, Jonathan Rinaldi. He might ring a bell. He was on it for like 6 seasons. But anyways...
Is he tattooed?
Is he tattooed? Dr. L wants to know.
Not visibly that I can see. Not visibly that I can see. But I can't see his full arms in these. Since he's switched to political stuff, he's wearing like long sleeves. But he made this transition into the political space because he wanted to provide a better future for all of his children out there. And he's worried that New York is running to hell or whatever.
Yeah,
so he's
what
gonna
a good daddy. Huh?
He's gonna single-handedly change this, which, maybe if he keeps going at this rate, he might be able to just get enough votes from, his children out there.
Do you know how much his sperm was going for?
Unclear, but he did say that
on 4chan or 8chan, where was this happening?
He did say that 25 to 35% of the donations were done like live because he said that fresh is better than frozen, which is disturbing.
So porn.
Like in person. Like a conjugal visit, if we're keeping to this behind the
So is that
so prostitution?
Sort of thing.
I don't know. I mean, because if you're involved in the sexual act, then is that really a donation?
Yeah, are you selling? Like, does that cross the line into some sort of sex thing? I don't know, but that's not what he's charged with. Okay,
that's where we would like to know.
I know, that's the more interesting part of this. The whole AI thing, whatever.
Well, so the whole AI thing is kind of interesting to me, just because so this is all tied to his campaign run in 2025, but he apparently appears to keep doing these same sort of antics as he's now running for New York State Assembly. Now, in the run where these charges are from, he ran as a Democrat this time. I guess he ran out of political parties, or I'm not sure. He's like constantly changing these different affiliations. But in that primary, he earned just 906 votes against Andrew Havesi's 6,749. So he's not really even remotely close to the running in these. But prosecutors are saying that he routinely and deliberately created and posted AI-generated images that falsely depicted endorsements from individuals and organizations that had not backed his candidacy, and in fact, backed the opposition. So these fabrications, like they have all these sort of like fake article endorsements, you know, with the branding from CNN, from Daily News, from the Post. And one of these, it was even from the AP with an article announcing his endorsement from former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Like it's stuff that's like, it's really out there.
Time consuming.
It is time consuming.
I don't think so. I think you type in AI.
Oh, right. Okay.
Make a headline. I don't know that the prompting is that particularly
Claude
deep.
AI would do it.
But it wasn't just like these news articles. He was allegedly making fake endorsements from other organizations, including like the Queens Jewish Association, local elementary schools, and police districts.
My elementary school better not have fake endorsed him, or there will be hell to pay.
I hope not.
So can you donate to his campaign? I mean, I am looking for change right now in this
Are you looking
administration.
for change?
I like a little quirky people with some backbone.
Well, he's unpredictable.
He's unpredictable. And he does, like I said, he's been very unsuccessful, but seemingly undeterred by that. And I mean, you know, his response to sort of these charges so far, you know, he said, I posted stuff on social media, so they arrested me. You know, he's kind of coming down on like a First Amendment sort of argument, but he has been arraigned on 3 counts of third-degree forgery and 15 counts of criminal possession of a forged instrument in the third degree. I don't know what kind of exposure that is there legal-wise.
Instrument.
I think that's just like I'm guessing that's just the forged document or whatever. How that is different than the actual forgery, I don't really know. I'm not a lawyer. I can't comment on that. But
Is this a question about mental health?
You're wondering, like,
Definitely.
where is this going?
Definitely. There has to be a mental health aspect to this. But I think it's interesting because obviously there is a First Amendment argument to make here, but I don't think that applies when you're like fabricating stuff from an actual outlet. Like, I think that's kind of where it crosses First Amendment into something else.
But here's the thing. Is this really going to stop this guy? No.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's an interesting
he could
point.
do it from prison.
He'll do whatever he wants. He'll, you know.
And like, I don't think you're doing prison time for this.
He's a nuisance. He's a nuisance.
Yeah. And I think that's more of the issue here. I
have a question for Dr. L.
Yeah.
When you have a personality like this.
Yeah.
Where
of Will or that guy?
Well, we'll get, please. We need a whole other episode for Will. But the other guy, sperm guy, like someone who constantly inserts themselves and you know that they're annoying and they're a nuisance because they never, like, what kind of person is that?
I mean,
I know, cuckoo, but
cuckoo, but he's not so cuckoo that he's linear, right? He's doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a schizoid personality where you're a little detached from reality, but you're there just enough to wreak havoc. And then, you lack empathy. But I think, probably, 50, 60 diagnoses out of the book.
Oh my gosh. And here and I would just say he's just an annoying human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to think about his daily life, his money, his longevity, his future planning.
Listen, he seems to be functioning, procreating. I mean, he's getting some, I don't know and he's running for office.
Maybe he's just very eccentric. I don't know. I would be very curious if these traits carry down to his children.
Which ones? Oh my God. So I do think like the nuisance part of it is why he's actually being charged here. The Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said, in today's world, it's important to hold people accountable for materially misrepresenting facts, which I do think is interesting. And like I said, there's kind of like an ongoing thing of antics here. I didn't even get into like he'll show up at another like political person's rally and like try to get on the stage and debate them in person. Oh. He's been pepper sprayed. Like there's a lot of stuff going on here that's like very much like, Is it a crime? I mean, I guess maybe not, but it is like, it definitely is an intense public nuisance, it seems. But on another sort of interesting note, this is the first criminal prosecution of a politician for an AI-related offense, which...
I'm sure he's very excited about that.
Yeah.
That will only encourage him.
He is breaking new sort of legal ground there. So, but people had a lot of comments on this one. Alan W., just with a bit of a legal comment to start us off here. They said, somebody never taught him the First Amendment is not absolute, which... Yeah, I think we've learned that you don't have free reign all the time. Julie Yu, like Anna, is a New Yorker. They said, never heard of this bozo, which also...
Bozo. That person is absolutely from New York.
Is that a...
Bozo.
Is that an official diagnosis, Leslie? Can someone be a clinical bozo?
I love that.
I don't, no, I've never studied that. I don't know about the scientific research behind it.
Bozo.
But I do know the clown and what comes to mind.
But I mean, that's kind of like what these news outlets said too when they were asked about this, because obviously people saw this stuff on social media and whatnot, and they're like, is this real? And they were like, no, we've never heard of this human being. Like, we have no idea who this guy is. John A. said, still better than some political options, and that's sad, which fair. I guess it depends on where
more
you're
than
at.
900 people thought so.
Well,
Right?
I know. And then we could have voter fraud, right? He did take votes from other people with a fake campaign.
That's true.
So there are some legalities, like serious things.
No, that is interesting.
Oh, the poor prosecutor on this case.
I would not want anything to... Actually, no. Now I want to meet him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can't imagine this guy like in the courtroom. I wonder too if he'd like represent himself or something. Like,
probably.
I bet.
Oh my God.
Reach
Who's
out.
going to take his case?
Reach out to me. I'll do the evaluation. Pro bono.
Okay. Connie G said, well, at least some intelligence was used in the campaign.
Good one. I like that.
They got it. I'm going to end this one on a comment from Pam B. This one got me. They said, possible campaign slogan, change that sticks. And that is going to do it for this portion of our comment section. Anna, I know that you, even in the studio, took the time to take some comments from our wonderful listeners and viewers. Would you like to share them with us?
I would, because I love to read your comments on YouTube. So this is about the podcast, our last podcast that dropped. And this was a crazy case. This is a deputy fire chief who was charged with masterminding the sexual assault of a neighbor of his and friend. And he allegedly had hired this random person that he found on a dating website to do a role play in which that person sexually assaults the woman. And that person thought that she was in on it. And all of this was done to break her faith. And then after the attack, she survives the attack. She runs away. Who does she turn to? Her neighbor, the firefighter, the man who police say masterminded the whole devious, disgusting, evil, horrific,
Sexual psychopath.
So Crime Breakdown Doc posts, imagine surviving an attack designed to break your spirit and still holding on to who you are. That's an incredible level of strength. Absolutely. Then Candy Coated Weirdo posts, this case is full on demonic. Absolutely. And then Tanya Beasley 676 posted evil. What else can you say? Pure evil. Yeah.
Very true.
I do. We talk about this a lot, especially with experts, because I know criminal, you can't just say, oh, evil. That's not a charge.
Yeah.
But I do believe in evil. I really do believe sometimes, all these other explanations, I don't want to hear them. This person's evil, rotten.
That's not the first time I've heard of a case like that. That, to me, definitely is evil.
Evil. Confirmed.
Yeah.
Evil.
Too many evil. Too much evil out there. Too many bozos out there.
Oh, the bozos, please.
So make sure and watch out. Make sure and keep yourself safe. That'll do it for this week's comment section. As always, until next week, don't do crime.
You didn't do this. There you go. We're all out of sorts today.
I gotcha.
We are all out of sorts today. It is a nice studio. I can't wait to hear your comments. At least now I won't have to hear all the comments about what's in the background of my house. You can go ahead and tear down the background of the studio as you choose.
Because it can be moved.
It can be moved. If you don't like something, tell us, and we'll move the little globy things or whatever, the prisms. Dr. Leslie, this has been such a pleasure and so nice to have human contact.
Yes. I love not doing it remote anymore. Like, let's get out there.
I agree. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, follow you? I know you've got your YouTube show, but just everywhere people can find you.
It's Dr. Leslie Dobson really everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, but YouTube is really growing. I just finished a book. I'll be publishing it soon. I'm starting to kind of drop some information on it. So that'll be really exciting. And then I have some TV shows coming out where I'm the expert, really looking into the psychology of these monsters. So you won't have to look for me. I think I'll just be shoved in your face quite a bit.
That's so funny. That's great. I think that's wonderful. And you are very bold and you are very plain speak in your videos, and you just really get right to it and not a lot of filter. And I do appreciate that, because sometimes we try, and I think I'm guilty of this, of trying to be as balanced as possible to a degree, but you just put it all out there. And I like that.
I love it. I love to just be transparent and authentic, and there's no bullshit. And when DAs don't follow through the way I think they should, or when judges make bad choices, and the public rallies around viral videos because they didn't know about it.
Agreed.
Things change.
I so agree with you. I so agree. I am kind of like a dissenting voice in the crime world, because I do believe in internet sleuths, in what I call the angry chorus of people who unite because they don't like something, they don't think something is right. I think there's a strength and a power to that, and there can be change. Yeah. And, a lot of police departments just don't want to hear about it. Mm-hmm. They just want to do their job, and they think that everybody's meddling. But if it were always so easy to, figure out a case, would we still be trying to figure out what happened to Nancy Guthrie? No, you need the public's help. Yeah. So I, like you, believe in that chorus of people who are outraged.
If you want the real me, it's Instagram, because then I boost the videos directly to the town of the perpetrator.
Ooh.
So every neighbor is aware of what is going on.
I like that.
So I don't care if you don't want to see it on Instagram. I'm going to make you.
Here I am.
Do something about it. There's a sexual predator in your neighborhood. Now you know.
Well, I'm Anna G. News on all social media. Anna with one N, as we all like to joke. You can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also we have a newsletter, as I always like to say, so retro. And you can get that at truecrimenews.com. Thank you very much. This is True Crime News, the podcast. Until next time, I'm your host, Anna Garcia. Crime never stops, and neither do we.